Hello. I am Pretty Bird,
And I am a sweet pea.
and together we are Pretty Sweet. Welcome to Pretty Sweet Distractions, where we speak unfiltered about life, love, poetry, and prowess. Sit back, relax, enjoy the distractions in the form of open discussions on artful words. Now for the rules. We are grown up people talking about grown up things using every single grown up word. Consider this your warning. So if you're easily offended, this may not be your bouncing tea bag, cup of tea, or whatever floats your boat. We like to have fun, poke fun, and generally have a great time. So if you're down to be distracted, come hang out, chat, call, like, follow, share, leave your opinions on our opinions, click all the hearts, and show us some love. Follow us on all your social media. We are just about everywhere, and you can listen to us live Tuesdays and Thursdays on Facebook. X and YouTube. So if you are listening to this after the live show, feel free to follow us, befriend us, do all the things in those places so you never miss another live. Oh my goodness. So today it is if only. Uh, I get a little, I don't know, wistful because just of the idea of if only, it feels like a loss to me. The crushing weight of unchangeable choices, the silence after a storm of words, the empty chair, the final glance, or life rewritten, and the regret, um, in the ink of regret, the unbearable cost of what could have been. So we've all contemplated if only I had this, if only there was that, if only. And to me, if only is a little bit different than what if. Sometimes they are interchangeable simply because similar but not the same. Like how you're supposed to use a thesaurus. I'm just saying. So, if only to me is more indicative of past, and what if has still has possibilities. I mean, can you use it to talk about the past? Sure you can. But it's more like, oh, what if we did this? Like for future plans and choices to be made. So to me, that also has the positivity of possibilities, or the fear, whatever. Because I might be a fear monger. It's fine. But if only I had picked up the phone. If only we hadn't said those things in anger. If only we had more time. It's the things that we might change if we could. Not that we can, because time does not work that way. And even in the best movies, when you mess with time, it kind of screws with things. So it is what it is. And it's a hard thing for emotional people to get past. And by the way, I that's me. I am an emotional person, i.e. poet. We are all emotion. I'm an 50-50 split. Oh my gosh, I cannot freaking talk. A split of heart and mind, passion and logic. I'm a mess because those two things do not play well together. But when the lights are out and you're trying to fall asleep and you're trying to get rid of whatever stresses of the day just to make room in your brain, sometimes, even if you don't want to, you pop up to when you were 20 years old, and if only I had said this, if or me sometimes when I'm 11, if only I hadn't done that, said whatever that made that one person make that face that I still remember, that haunts me, and that they still remember because I have to confirm things, and so I hate myself apparently. But then I go to think, if that hadn't happened, if I hadn't shot off at the mouth and accidentally hurt somebody's feelings, I wouldn't be who I am now because it changed me. It was the first time that the consequences of my words were somebody else's pain that I didn't ever want to hurt. And it's not something that I want to do on a regular basis. Having said that, I'm constantly hurting people's feelings accidentally. It's not a choice. It's not something that I do on purpose. It's not that I can foresee these things. It's just that I speak kind of matter of factly, and not a lot of passive aggression in how I handle things. I'm pretty much, this is the thing. And sometimes that hurts people's feelings. It's never my intention, because if I'm going to hurt people's feeling, it's with their own reflection, and I'll leave you bleeding on the floor. So, do not incur my wrath. It'll sound nice, it won't be. But I do have these moments, if only I had done this, if only I had thought of what I, wanted to say at the time, because sometimes it's hard to be quick with the quips when you wanna be quick with the quips. So I still have the cough. I don't know if you picked up on that, so I might lose my voice again today, and Sweet Pea is losing her voice, so you're just gonna get a mess of shit tonight. So before I get all into my diatribe of bullshit, let's say hi to everybody. Sweet Pea, say hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
And Rapping 4, hello, hello.
How?
Hey you.
So go ahead, Sweet.
No, I was just gonna say howdy, hello, hello is kind of your thing, and I don't do it as well as you. You have that upbeat charm, but I'll
Ah,
just do my
I don't
howdy.
know about a bounce in my voice, especially now, but thank you. There is an there is a lag today, so if we're talking all over each other, it is what it is. Deal with it. Because sometimes people complain about stupid shit outside of our control. I mean, you can if you want to. Feel free to comment the good, the bad, and the ugly. We will listen to it all. We may not do a damn thing about it, but we'll listen. So back to the if onlys. I have a poem called Life at 4 a.m., which I am not reading tonight, but in there, there's something about, what if this and then if only, but if only is just another what if, because sometimes they're interchangeable when it's an ongoing decision that you're making in real time, considering past things or future things. And I was thinking about that when I'm like, well, again, similar, not the same, not equal to. And so for tonight, it's very much the losses, the slight regrets, the I'm struggling now. How different would my life have been if I would have made that choice then? If only I had done this, maybe I'd be different. If only I had gotten that dual doctorate, maybe I'd be in a completely different financial position, but I also wouldn't have 4 kids. So, no regrets. But But you contemplate these things. You contemplate all of these things because it pulls you out of your anxiety a little bit, pulls you out of stress, pulls focus from the now, and makes room in your brain when you're done thinking about all the nonsense that really doesn't matter too much but a waste of time because it's not like you can change it, so I regret anything. But sometimes, at least for me, since my brain doesn't ever shut the fuck up, um, uh, it'll give me 2 seconds to breathe, and if my mind slows down for 2 seconds, I might actually fall asleep. The problem is it just never slows down, it never shuts up. So, I've been finding myself since I've been sick, which is weird because I this is lingering now for 6 weeks, but, I will lay down knowing full well my brain is not off, and it's taking me to when I was 19 years old. It's taking me to those little moments of possibility, those things that if I had more confidence, if I had trusted more, if I knew then what as an adult I contemplate now and feel like an idiot for not realizing it. But that's what growth looks like. You don't know what you don't know until you learn it. And so that whole learning process in young adulthood sometimes weighs like lost opportunities. But if you don't know that there are opportunities, then you didn't lose anything. You learned your lesson and you don't lose future opportunities. And it's a hard thing to think of that way when it feels like loss, when it feels like the one guy I ever got pulled to kiss, I didn't kiss because I felt like an asshole because, you know, what do I know? You know, so you don't do the little things in the moment when you're mortified with your own process of decision making, and then you're like that, but you look at it, decades later, and you're like, it's just a fucking kiss. 2, um, they were your safe place. They're not gonna make you feel like shit about something stupid, even if they weren't on board. 3, oh, give me a break. People don't act the way they act if they don't have a feeling. But you don't know that. You don't know that when you're in it. You don't know that when you're young. You don't know that when you don't have the experiences, you know? And then there are the if onlys, like I couldn't make it down for my mother's birthday, her last birthday that I didn't know was going to be her last birthday. The whole family was there except for me and my family because I don't do summer. Summer fucking sucks for me. Summer is when I have been alone the most raising the 4 kids because due to the seasonal nature of my partner's job, he was gone more often than not for most of the summer. And then I had one kid the beginning of August, and it was high risk. And so I had to send everybody. I was there by myself because he wasn't there because work, and I couldn't, I was on bed rest. I have trauma. I have all kinds of emotional trauma for things that needed doing. I don't regret any of it. But it doesn't feel good until, the end of August and I can breathe again. So I have issues. And there was zero way in hell I could have made that birthday. I could have driven the 4.5 hours down there, spent a couple of days, didn't have the money for it. Um, I'd have to have the 4 kids, 2 hotel rooms, all the things. The answer is no. And then I would probably end up paying for half of everybody's dinner, and that's 20 people because, the adults versus, my kids, my sister kids, all that. And you do what you do. And A, didn't have the money, 2, didn't have the time, 3, didn't have the energy, 4, full on PTSD already in place. I could not go. I know I could not have made that birthday. But then it's her last birthday. And I sit there, I'm like, why? Why couldn't I have gone? If only I would have just gotten off my ass. If only I can get over myself. If only I could have pushed her. I couldn't. It's an overwhelming experience to have to deal with that much on your own when you're already mentally and emotionally compromised. It's too much. It's overwhelming. I understand that in reality. My heart will forever regret not going to her last birthday because me and my kids were the only ones not there. And I did call her and I did say happy birthday, little 2-second video chat for, hey, everybody, but it's not the same. And so we live with the choices that we make. And we wonder if it, what would have changed. And we wish that we had that last memory or those moments, or we wish that we can go back and if only I had realized what that actually was and how important that moment would have been, I would have paid more attention. I would have basked in it more. I would have stopped complaining about all the little shit that I complained about all the time and loved every minute of what that was. But we don't know until after the fact. There's no changing it. Yeah, I am not an outdoorsy person. Me and the outdoors are not friends. And I live in Florida, so it's the land of eternal swamp ass. I've had 85-degree fucking Christmases, and not here as of late, but I have. And Christmas in shorts and a tank top does not feel like Christmas. Okay, so it is hot. And whenever it is hot, there are mosquitoes. And when the mosquitoes aren't out, there's a whole lot of other things that some you can't see, some you can't. Everything bites. I'm allergic to the world. And so I don't with the camping. So we used to go camping with my kids and the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts and all the nonsense. And because I was one of the leaders, I had to go to all the bullshit and realized I was allergic to deer flies. Never saw a deer fly. Never, I don't go in the woods. What the hell is this thing? Oh, great. And full, not anaphylaxis, but full skin allergy, full thousands of freaking hives, full all the stuff. And so I'm focused on the fact that they burn like fire. I don't have enough juice in my Benadryl pen to deal with that. And all I wanted to do was freaking leave. I needed to go home. I needed to take the oral Benadryl. I needed to rub myself down in the calamine lotion, all this stuff. And did we have calamine lotion yet? Yes, we had calamine lotion, but I Caladrill. I do clear Caladrill. So it's got the Benadryl and it's got this. Yeah, I don't have that stuff with me. My bad. But I was miserable, freaking miserable. But my kids were young and they were loving life and they were with the hiking and telling me all the stuff. And I'm sitting there teaching the older ones how to cook and all the things, being miserable. And the fact that my skin had hot pokers of pinpricks, thousands of them all over my body, and I couldn't focus on anything else. And that was the year my oldest son, his den did all the cooking for that dinner, and he was very proud of himself because he did all the things. He knew all the things. They were doing all the stuff. I was just standing there, going, maybe don't throw things in a pot of boiling water. Maybe place them gently, you know. But I was absolutely fucking miserable, miserable. And when I think back, I can see the smile and I can't hear the laughter, and I hate that. I hate that I was so focused on my own pain and the old my own whatever and wrangling everybody else so that nobody gets hurt that I don't have a full faceted memory of their joy. And that will forever pain me. If only I wasn't so self-absorbed and self-involved. I was in fucking pain. It happens. I challenge anybody to be in that much pain, looking out for all the signs of anaphylaxis, worried if I'm going to have to like which other adult is going to have to rush me to the hospital that is about 45 minutes away from where we were. I was busy, contemplating possible, near death experiences. And I understand that, but it feels like I miss the laughter and I miss their joy. And I wonder if because I was miserable, I made them miserable. Now, I'm not sitting there complaining about, oh my God, this and oh my God, that. No, I'm just clocking it internally because I tend to not burden people with my bullshit, even if it's not bullshit. I like speak in emergencies only. And so I didn't hinder their stuff to my knowledge, but I wasn't fully present. And so I have these regrets. And so you sit there and you find yourself contemplating, well, if only I could have done more, if only I had paid attention, if only I had realized. But here's the thing, whether you've been in emergent situations or seen them on TV, you know, and you don't realize that somebody's going to jump off of a building. You don't realize that um your kid is hanging out with the wrong people. Here's the thing. Unless they are doing it for attention, which means that they're going to give you all the signs, you're not going to see shit. Teenagers are devious little shits. They will hide everything and think you don't notice. They think that adults are fucking stupid and can't see all the shit, first of all, but they're also really good at hiding what they don't want you to know. And it's nobody's fault. That's their job. It's their job to test boundaries. It's their job to figure out who they are. And the only way they figure out who they are is if they do it on their own. Because we can't tell them who they are. All we can do is make them feel bad by telling them who we want them to be. Because if that's not who they think they are, then they're going to feel like a disappointment. Then they're really not going to say anything. So my brother fell in with kids that we knew, but that ended up being detrimental to his well-being. And so he hung in with these kids that we knew, and we had no fucking clue until some third party was like, your kid hangs out with so and so and so and so and so and so. This one's been arrested, and that was what the hell you say? Not this kid. I've known him since he was 4. What the hell are you talking about? But it happens, and that's nothing to blame. Like my mom was like, I should have known. I should have seen. I should. How? He hasn't changed anything about who he is here. And not for nothing, those ne'er-do-well children were the most respectful to my parents. They walk in. They're the ones that if they're wearing a wife beater, they will bring a shirt to put over it and not walk into my parents' house half naked. They were extremely respectful. And you think that they're the good kids. So here's the thing. Good people can do bad things, and nobody wants to think the worst. So they regretted a lot of, if only I had been more diligent, if only I if only you had done what? They were very good at their deception. They were very good at pushing boundaries outside of the house. None of this has anything to do with who my parents were and everything to do with where my brother felt comfortable and peer pressure and like-mindedness and all the bullshit that comes with being 14 years old. But you still have those thoughts, that regret, that you know things wouldn't have gone bad if only I had been better. So here's the thing, and I'm going to put this out there for everybody, and I know, giant hypocrite, yeah, that's me, because I have a hard time doing this myself. But here's the thing. The world does not revolve around you. It doesn't revolve around me. My little world and my myopia and your myopia, sure it does. But in the reality of things, we are not the end all be all of everybody around us, and no matter how much we want to be. Therefore, considering my parents was not my brother's job. It's no teenager's job to sit there and while learning who they are as late teens, young adults, to contemplate, um to the limits of contemplation, what their parents want from them. That's how you're miserable. That's how you get those kids that are that feel like a failure, even though they're the most successful kids you've ever known, because they can't live up to those expectations. To me, that's not normal. To me, normal is kids trying to figure out who they are, trying to suss out their place in school, in their friend group, in their job, and society at large. None of that has anything to do with the adults in their life. None of that has anything to do with anything. We are each our own person. Therefore, I promise you, the choices I have made in my life have zero to do with my parents. And I mean, all we can do is hope that they raised us well enough to make good choices. But once we're an adult, those choices don't belong to my parents. Those choices are mine. Like my kids, I'm finding it hard because I've got a 22-year-old that is very independent minded, which I love, and he is learning of all of his limits, and now he's got a job, and he's saving money, and he's working on his car, and he's doing all these things. And so he had all these goals, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he's like, oh, by the way, I'm going by myself to this concert in Tennessee. And oh, alone by yourself. And so he's gonna fly, and he's gonna rent a car, and he's 22, he can do whatever the fuck he wants to. It's his money. I'm not poo-pooing that. But my heart as a parent is like, I'm going to need to know, you're gonna need to put on your location so I know where the fuck you are. So if I find you somewhere at 2 o'clock in the morning after a concert, and I Google Maps that shit, and it's in a ditch, I'm calling the cops, you know? I have these issues, and it's nothing I ever would have done myself. I would always take somebody with me. Not because I need to take somebody with me, but because I at 22, oh, I could have fun with any one of my friends doing absolutely nothing. You know? So I love that he's independent enough to not give a shit. But I'm also sitting here going, don't you have to fix your car? Don't you have plans for saving whatever? Because it's not cheap. And but that's not on me. And it's not like if only I had taught him better. I think he's wonderfully independent. And we talk about his plans to save money. And we talk about what that looks like. And we talk about goals. And all I can do is be thankful that he talks to me about it, regardless of the decision he makes, regardless of whether he thinks I will approve or not approve. I'm just like, well, you're going to do what you want, just have you considered, and then say all the things. And then the choice is his. That's a very hard lesson for a parent to learn. That's a very hard lesson to live through, letting your kids make their own choices and learn the hard way. And he is one of my kids that will absolutely, he's determined to learn everything the hard way. The good part about that is, well, okay, so was I. But the good part about that is that I know once he learns that lesson, he will never have to learn it again. Where I have kids that learn it in theory and they do all the right things, and then something goes awry when they're older, and they're like, oh, well, I didn't see that coming. I was like, oh, I did not teach you well enough, my dear. Always think of contingencies. So, every kid is different, but I can't help to watching them grow, wondering where I could have been different to shape their minds differently. But here's the thing: we don't have that control. They're their own fucking people. And he's not doing anything wrong. He's not doing anything detrimental. He's not doing anything stupid. This is what he wants. He has the means to do. He's going to go and do it. I'm like, do it while you're young and stupid, because once you have responsibilities, you no longer have that option. You know. But it's a hard lesson, and it's a hard lesson to realize that the advice we give people doesn't mean they're going to take it, and doesn't mean that they think you're a shitheel. If they don't, it's just they're going to make their own choices for their life. They're going to do whatever they. If only I had pushed harder. If only I had, you know, been firmer. Let them know that this is the path of self-destruction. We can only do what we can do. We can't change other people's trajectories by sheer will. And it is not our job to jump in front of our friends to be like, you're an asshole, stop making mistakes. Because just because they might be a mistake for us doesn't mean it's going to be a mistake for them. People think I am an idiot. I have been told left and right because I gave up, and I have said this a million and a half times, and I get that I have like 5 stories that I keep on retelling. Suck it up, you know. I'm just saying. I got into the dual doctorate program at Columbia University. Uh, I had an 18-month-old, and his dad is like, I don't want to raise my kid in New York. And I said, all right. And so my choice was not college. My choice was, do I want to raise my family intact, or do I want to um, be a single mom, you know, in the middle of a city that I don't have help in? Though my mother's like, oh, no, sweetie, you'll have help because I'm happy to move back to New York. And here's the thing, I chose my family. And I don't feel like I gave anything up because I know that I did the right thing for my kid, for my heart. And and since then I've had 3 more kids, which never would have happened had I been in a 10-year doctorate program. And I don't feel bad about it. And yet I have people, their dad himself was just like, that was the biggest mistake I have ever. I am so sorry. I was like, I'm not. I have 0 regrets, and people judge me for it whenever they hear the story. Well, I would have chose me. All right. And how many times have you been divorced? You know, which I don't care. Do what's best for you. That's your situation. It's just I had one baby, and I could not look at this kid who loved his father, so he deserved everything, you know, and from now until forever, from the time I conceived, they were just more important than me, you know? And so I don't feel like I gave anything up. I feel like I did right by my kid. I feel like because I didn't lose out. It was an experience I didn't have. Do I wish I had it in another life? Maybe, if it could have guaranteed that I would still have my other 3 kids, you know, but I knew I wouldn't, because it doesn't allow for that, you know? So I have no regrets. And the majority of people who give a shit about me are like, you're an idiot. And have you thought about going back, over the years, and have you that? No, I haven't. And that's my choice. And people don't get to tell me I'm stupid for a choice that I made and would make every single time. It doesn't affect them. Shut the fuck up. And the people that say, well, I would, really? Because you never once made a choice that selfish for you in anything that I have seen. So keep your judgment for yourself, God damn it. And if only they had listened to me. I've been on that side too. I could have saved them so much pain if only. No, you can't. You can't save people from themselves, because that's their own journey. That's their own life lessons. That's their own. They have to give everything that they want to give to a situation, that they're able to give to a situation, for them to move on. That's not your path. You're not living in that shit. You're on the outside. It's like listening to these fucking Reddit stories where everyone's like, yes, you're the asshole. Yes, this, I would have, until it happens to you. Then you're like, oh, yeah. So everybody, can be an asshole, and everybody can be selfish, and everybody gets butt hurt. Well, you should have just listened to me. That's not helpful to anyone. If you're going to give advice, give advice. If you're giving unsolicited advice, you're the asshole. But if people want your opinion and you give the advice, and they take it under advisement and do what they want anyway because that's what's best for them, you don't get to judge them for that. You don't get to say, well, you're the idiot for not listening to me. You get to say, I'm going to be there for you regardless of the outcome, because you have to do what you have to do, and I'll love you through it anyway. Anything other than that makes you the asshole. Because if somebody you care about is going through some shit that they are sharing with you, and I've said this before, it is an honor, a privilege, and a full-on fucking gift to be the safe place for somebody to share their shit, and you take it and you weaponize it and use it against them to call them an idiot, you are the asshole. you know so people are like, well, if only you would have, and if only I would have tried harder to make you. None of that. Sometimes people suck. Sometimes I suck. Sometimes you suck. We are very much inherently fallible. And and it is what it is. If only I wasn't, but I am, you know? So I just got a message from our Sky. So Sky, if you are listening,
Yay, Skype.
there is no way to call in on social media. You can comment, but the link to call in is only posted in the Pretty Sweet Distractions group on All Poetry. So there's a link, it'll put you right in the studio. And we only put the link open for our story time shows where everybody can call in and do whatever. So now you all know how to get in um to join us live on air. You have to uh go to allpoetry.com, type in Pretty Sweet Distractions, just the way that it is. Click on the red shoes and you'll find us. And that's where you can submit your poetry. That's where you get the link to join us live on our shows. That's where, you can pop stuff on our chat board and talk to us, however you want. There's that. I'm not inviting all the weirdos to be whatever. Please do not send me eggplants. Too many people have tried to send me eggplants. Just don't, because you will be blocked forever and ever. Amen. And so I'm trying to send her the link. I thought I had it. I thought I had it. Here it is. Okay. And so Sweet Pea,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on if only?
Oh my God. Uh, if only. I have so many if onlys in my life that I just can't even think about them because it's a twisted path of insanity if I really do. Um, if only I hadn't allowed my mom to pull me out of high school. If only I hadn't, got married. If only I hadn't had a baby at 17. And if only I hadn't, um, not say goodbye to my grandma. Or um, if only I hadn't, you know, oh God, um, not gone to college. Or if only I had done this. Again, you and I are in kind of the same realm where I had my child versus college. You actually had your degree before you had children. I did the opposite. I had children, went back to school, got my degree. Um, but, you know, if only I hadn't kissed this boy or this person, and if only I hadn't, um, felt like I was invisible, if only I hadn't, you know, um, taken a left or taken a right, or if I had stood up, if only I had the courage. There's so many things, you know, that I can go back and say at this precise moment, if I had just done this choice. But because I took the other choice, it doesn't mean regret. It just would have meant a different life path, a path that maybe would have been better, a path that maybe would have been worse. You never know, and you can't necessarily think about it. Um, you can kind of dream about it or fantasize about it, but my if onlys are some of them are so heartbreaking that it's more depressing if I think about them, or more sad. I really want to, you know, I think my biggest ones um, is if only I had gone home um, when they said my grandma was sick. Um, but I couldn't. And I think that those are the ones that I think that we question ourselves a lot about. What was I doing that I couldn't? What was so much more important in that moment in time? Um, I think about that a lot um, because it seems so frivolous to me now. But now I'm in a different place in my life, a different time, a different, just decision making person than I was at 21 years old with two babies on her hip. Um, it's also convoluted when I look back at, what could I have done, at 17. Well, that's a whole lot of thought process for, my age now. Or what what was I thinking when I did this, or what was I thinking? Well, you can't condemn yourself now for the wisdom and all of that at the age you made those decisions. It's just impossible to do because wisdom comes with, age and the way we look, knowledge, and all of those things. So if onlys can, really break your heart. Um, and Lord knows I've had my heart broken enough. So I love tonight's subject because, I like, if only I had thought about this before, then maybe I could be a rock star. But I can't sing, so that doesn't make sense either. But I often think too, if only I had really started writing, maybe I'd be better at it than I am now. So that's kind of where I sit with all the if onlys in my life.
It's interesting because a lot of that, those unchangeable things, if you could change them, I mean, not think about your grandma because that falls into I miss my mom's birthday, and we can't change that. And it is what it is because full well that they wouldn't have given a crap, that they're
Right,
just like, you had shit going on, you're fine. So if they're not going to hold it against you, why do we do that to ourselves? But all of the other ones, the choices that we make to change things that if I had my way, I would have done it differently, change everything else. And it keeps on bringing me back to how many of those choices that I would have changed in the moment, knowing what I know now of that moment and emotionally speaking, would have resulted in me not having one or more of my kids, would have resulted in me not being in the relationship that I'm in for the last however many decades. How many, would have changed who I am fundamentally, and not for nothing. I may be an asshole sometimes, but I kind of like myself, and it took me a long time to fucking get here. And I wonder if I would like who I ended up being had I gotten those degrees, because there's something pretentious that happens if you're a doctor and a lawyer at the same time. There's something hoity-toity and holier than thou that happens because intellectually speaking, you are an absolute minuscule minority of people. And if I'm already an asshole, could you imagine the asshole I would have been? You know, and I would have only had the one kid, because you can't do 10 years of that kind of mental strain work and keep on having a million kids and think you're going to sit there and get everything done in a timely fashion. I am just saying, we beat ourselves up and cry, and because listen, for those who know, you put yourself back in those moments and you cry for the possibilities lost. You cry for things that you wish you can go back and feel in that moment. You cry for recognizing now what you wish you would have recognized then. And logically, that makes zero sense. Zero sense whatsoever, because we did not have the knowledge. There's nothing we could have done without that knowledge. And we wouldn't have gotten that knowledge without learning the lessons that we learned through all of these things, through all of the love, the joy, the pain, the regrets, the not regrets, the lessons learned. We are who we are now. We're able to see the past clearly because we've worked through it at some point enough to recognize what it was. We did not have those skills. We did not have that knowledge. All we have is now we know the possibilities that were available, but we didn't know that then. We were in those moments working with what we got. If we do the best we can in a situation, that's the best we can do. So while I also lament and sometimes cry myself to sleep, um, I am fully aware that we do the best we can do with the knowledge that we have, with the information that we have. And there's nothing wrong with that. We can't ask for more from ourselves. We can't read minds. We can't grow into who we are without suffering what we've suffered through. So not only would we be different people that may not have ever known what all that stuff was, but we berate ourselves for choices that we never meant to make or never wanted to make or were pushed into, but we had limited knowledge and limited experience. You know, it's like if you if you're a new artist and you get a shit record deal where you're barely getting any money, everybody's getting rich on you, there's no contingency for however many albums, and you have no creative control, but you have a record deal and you're thrilled to have a record deal. 5 10 years down the road, when you've got another, however many records, that now you're making all the money, now you control the contract, now you're like, how the hell could I have made that choice? Because that's a choice that was offered, because woohoo, and without that shitty choice you wouldn't have had the opportunities to make the choices that you make now. So we can't really shit on the things that we've done as life lessons learned, because we'd still be making crappy decisions without the intelligence, without the intellectual growth, without the emotional um, interactions that shape who we are. So I love the if only, because I'm a poet. We lament, but I also logically understand how that it's a ginormous waste of time, except for emotional catharsis, which isn't. So we let it out because it's safer to cry about things that don't affect us now than it is to face what's happening now that really makes us want to cry. Because we tend to not visit the past if we are perfectly happy where we are. When we have joy, when we are in a good place, when we are emotionally safe, the past doesn't matter. We don't sit there and go and do anything other than, oh, I remember that, and move the fuck on. It's when something is lacking and our mind goes to places where it wasn't, or to places where we could have changed that. It goes to all of these places, and to me, it's like our mind is allowing us to feel the pain without facing the accountability, without facing any current consequences. And sometimes we just need to cry it out or feel whatever it is to be able to shape it, to be able to understand it, to be able to let it out enough to just breathe and get through our day. So I find the human psyche to be fully fascinating. So before I talk for another hour, Sweet Sky has been sitting here patiently waiting because she is just delightful and kind. So, Sky, say hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
I am so glad you're here.
Thanks for
Um,
answering me. Sorry, I'm just like I don't know how to do this. I
you're
haven't called.
fine.
I haven't called here on this platform yet, so I was just like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, no, this is a full link only, and we don't put it out there for the masses because on the last streaming profile we're on, where it was open to the masses, we got some weirdos. We got some weirdos talking about some weird shit. We got some weirdos wanting to hijack the whole show. We got some weirdos going all kinds of whatever. And apparently we're going to hell because we need Jesus. And I'm like, okay, that may be true, but we're not talking about it on the air, for Pete's sake. And all the things. So I'm thrilled that you're here. Did you happen to
I'm a
bring us
weirdo, but I
goodies?
will not hijack the show.
Well, you wouldn't be hijacking it. We tend to fork it over for you because you're lovely. Uh, do you have an offering? We're not going to put you on the spot to read it right now because we haven't started the poetry yet. But do you have an offering for us?
I don't think so, and I can't look for one because I realize that I can't switch off and on with my phone, and I haven't. Oh, well, I might be able to get my computer out. I might be able to dust that off.
Oh,
But I don't.
time
I
will
don't. I don't.
tell.
Well, it's like I haven't used it in such a long time, but I can't from my phone to other links I have. Otherwise, I can't hear you anymore. But I might be able to hook up my computer to at
Yes,
least
it happens to
follow
us
along.
too.
Yeah, but I might be able to get my laptop up and going to follow along. But I don't know if I have an offering yet. But I'll just enjoy you guys if that's okay.
Oh, that makes me happy when you say I'll enjoy you guys.
Seriously, you can enjoy us anytime,
Okay.
anytime at all.
Okay.
So we are thrilled to have you here. So your thoughts though on if only, because we were talking about how if only is a little bit different than what if, similar but not the same. I talked about the thesaurus because I'm, a word nerd, it's fine. And because to me, what if is more indicative of possibilities. What if I do this? And what if maybe we go out to dinner because I don't want to cook? And what if, you can't what if and if only. You can if only a what if. Oh, what if I had done that? But you can't, oh, if only I could. You can. What the fuck's stopping you? These are where the choices are made. So the if only to me screams more of lament. So what are your thoughts on anything that it comes to mind when you think of the if onlys?
I think before you started talking about about those things that you were talking about, I had already gone down that route. I don't know if I could say I really agree with if only, because I definitely do believe in the ripple effect. And I completely agree. When I start, if ever I'm like, oh, I think mostly for me, when I do that, I find myself like, oh, if only I had spent, some of this time to do some of this. It's mostly work related. Like that's usually where I'm like, oh, I could have finished that off, and I could have done that, and I could have been a little better, because nobody's financially secure these days. And that's I think that's the only route that I kind of go down. And but when I think about that, I also think about, if I did, go down this route or go down this route, there are a lot of things that there would have been a lot of people, like my friends that I know, my coworkers that I become friends with, that wrote, there's a few of them that are like lifelong friends, and then that are very important to me. And then of course, all the people that I worked with, because I do work in a lot of DSP positions and a lot of like healthcare. So I've worked with a lot of kids. I with IDD, behavioral, needed behavioral support. I worked with a lot of adults with TBI, traumatic brain injuries, and I worked with a lot of adults with varying degrees of disability. And I think about all those people that I have met, and all those people that have shaped me into, not only being allowed to help them, but just knowing them and shaped me. And then I think, oh, if I did that, I wouldn't have been that. And then you also think about, because of sometimes my schedule, the way when I was working at the school, I was so much more available for my godchildren, and there's just so many things. So that's the only, if only I had done that, maybe I could make a little bit more money now. So, if only I had finished that, or if only I had done that. Um, I think that's the only time I ever do it, and then I quickly think, it would have changed everything. So I don't, I don't dwell on it, because realistically, I do believe, like you do, in the ripple effect, that one little change really could massively change so many things. I may have not have been in the position where I could have stepped in so strongly with, the little one, if I had a different job that was more demanding. I wouldn't have been able to do that for him. So, like there are a lot of things. Anyway, that was it.
I fully concur. And that's the thing. And I know a lot of people don't round robin those things. They think about, okay, and I'll go back to my mom because that's just the clearest um analogy or example. That I couldn't make it to her last birthday, not knowing it wasn't her last birthday. So here's the thing. When you say I'm going to make it to the next one, and you really mean I'm going to make it to the next one, and you're making plans and you're doing this, and you're like, I'm going to put money aside, so that's not an issue. I'm going to try to de-stress and all the, if you actually put a plan in place, and things happen before that to thwart said plans, we can't change that. That's not on us. It is not our fault. It is nothing that we have control over. And if I sit there and I'm like, but I wish I had, I wish I had, I wish I had, that to me is different than if only, because if only is very indicative of changes that could have been made. And you can't make those changes because if you think about the situation exactly as it was, you wouldn't have done anything different. You know what I mean? It's in the moment with how you were feeling and all this stuff, most of the time when it's just a choice, you make the best choice you can in the situation for whatever the situation is, regardless of what you learn after the fact. And I wish I had been there. It's different than if only I had gone, because yeah, I wish I was there. Yes, I would have loved that. But I could not have made a different choice with the knowledge that I had. Had I known that this was going to be her last, she was 71. She was supposed to have a whole lot of life left. I did not realize that that would have been it. There was no way to know. It was a very sudden thing. Therefore, there was no reason to think that I could that I couldn't do the next one. You know what I mean? So, how we berate ourselves, how we choose to punish ourselves, to me, it's more indicative of how we need to hurt to process, how we need to allow ourselves to feel the pain for whatever it is we're going through now. And I say it that way because we tend to not um when we feel stuck currently, it's been my experience that it's a lot easier to berate ourselves for things we can't change than face the things that we don't want to change or we feel unable to change in the moment. So that sense of accountability, that sense of loss, that sense of helplessness, it's a lot easier to sit with it 10 years ago, 20 years ago, however long it is, yesterday, in things that we cannot change, that already have an outcome that we can still feel pain through without having to gut ourselves or hate ourselves in the moment for things that we don't feel able to do, for choices that we're not ready to make, for things because we may, our minds may hate us, but they also protect us from the sharpest edges of internal suffering in the best way they can, which is I mean, the pain of yesterday, when we think about it like that, in terms of regret or loss, are a lot softer than being ripped apart by choices being made now. And I may be an idiot, but that's just the way it seems to work where I'm concerned. And that logically makes sense to me. It makes sense that, okay, so with the exception of actual grief that just sneaks up on you or seems to sneak up on you for the rest of your life, um, even though really it sneaks up when we wish that when we have moments that maybe we don't clock in time at the time, but when the world is quiet or the next day, it really is, my mom would have loved this. And then you go through all the reasons and all the times and then the memories and all the things. So maybe they are still um prompted by some little tiny unseen emotional trigger from now that leads us to then. We just don't know when they're coming because the world does weird things. Like, I was having a conversation a couple of weeks back going, I'm like, I remember my own phone number. I know like 4 phone numbers. Like back in the day, we had to remember everybody's phone number. And I was like, I still remember, and I blurted out this phone number. And it's my grandfather's phone number from before he got sick, before he died. The last time I used it, I was 12 years old. And I remember it clear as a bell. And it took me to that house, to the interactions, to the smells, to their little dog, to the baby duck I stole from its mama when I was 7, and we raised, and his name was Daffy, and my grandfather loved him, and that duck hated everybody else, but loved my grandfather. He's like, he's a sweet duck. No, no, he's crazy. But it took me to all of those things that I had forgotten. And so you sit in it, and it's love and it's joy and it's pain all at once. All because you're having a conversation about modern technology makes you stupid, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm 12. And so it does a lot of weird things. You never know when that trigger is going to be. But when you walk away from something that long, that it's still lost, but it's so much love, it kind of fills in and calms down gaps that you didn't realize you were feeling in the moment, because now it's filled with warmth, and warmth that you didn't realize was the foundation of your family, whether it's your grandfather, your mother, your friend. When we go through our life, logically speaking, with responsibilities and all this stuff, and we don't make time to feel that warmth. It doesn't matter if we are that warmth for everybody else. When we don't take the time to feel the warmth from others because we're too busy, I'm too busy, I'm always too busy, going, well, this needs to be done and this needs to be done. And what about this? And what about this? And what about that? Where it's okay if you can have a few minutes of affection, but you don't sit in the warmth every day. And I think we should all sit in that warmth every day, because I think it will change how we see the world. Because when it hits you out of nowhere, you realize that it's missing. And then when you contemplate, and by you, I mean me, it's always me, because what the hell else do I know? When you contemplate what that warmth feels like, it's not that it's lacking in your life now. It's just we don't focus on it because it's subtle, and it kind of weaves its way into everything like fog and smoke. And we don't focus on it because we're too busy trying to see through it all, that we need to get this done and get this done and get this done because responsibilities. But maybe in the middle of all that, or maybe in those moments before bed where we tend to lament and reflect, maybe we can sit with the warmth of those who love us, with the warmth of how we love others, and the warmth of, despite what other bullshit is going on, this is also true. You know, my kids, whether I talk to them every day or not, they love me. And if I need them, they would be there. And I don't doubt that. And if I would call myself a failure as a parent if my kids ever doubted, regardless of what they do, that I love them. And so I am very secure in the knowledge that I make that known. I have made that known since the day they were born. Even and anybody who's ever been on the phone with me to hear how I interact with my kids, I'm very much yada 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 blah 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 when we're telling each other off, and I'm like, but I love you, because you're pissing me off, but I love you because I cannot, I refuse before I have kids to ever have these young forming brains equate my silence with me taking away love or affection. So I had to make sure, especially when I'm angry, that they knew that I loved them. And that, now that that lesson is learned and ingrained, that's what warmth looks like. When you have a day filled with people checking on you, or somebody was thinking about you enough to send you pictures to make you smile, it's warmth. And it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And so often we overlook all of this. And when we look back on our lives or at moments, or, oh, if only I had, well, you know what? If those if onlys are like, if only I had spent more time focusing on the better things, at that moment, focus on the better things, because that is a current choice that then turns into future memories that no longer hold an if only, and only hold warmth. And that's what growth looks like. And I say this as a person who is constantly growing and will never feel grown. You know, and I don't care how old I am. I am eternally 24, and I think I can do all the things, and I and no shits. Also, all the shits. Shh, don't tell anybody. Because while I don't care about people I don't know's opinions, I very much care about the people that I love. And so for half of the people in my life, it's all the things. And for the other half, it's I don't give a shit. It's a very weird thing. But we can choose to focus on that warmth that memories backfill. But it backfills usually, at least for me, to younger years, before responsibility, before self-deprecation, before all of these things, because that's the purity of mind that kids have. That is where you don't doubt that they love you. That is, unless you were taught that they don't, the assumption is that they do. And because that's something that isn't doubted in certain situations, it will always feel warm and loving. And that doesn't go anywhere. the people who love us still feel warm and loving if we sit with all those little things. And it's easy to get lost in passive aggression. It's easy to get lost in matter of fact language. It's easy to get lost in the bullet points of your day without realizing that this is what love looks like, that the worry is what love looks like, that the clarification questions is what love looks like, that the honesty is what love looks like, that sometimes the silence is what love looks like. And we overlook it, wanting to be all, well, I'm up my own ass because I self isolate. And so if they're not talking, then they're self isolating. And do I intrude? Do I not intrude? We get lost in the bullshit. And sometimes the people that know us well enough to know that we self isolate don't ask us how we are every 2 seconds because they know we need a minute. But they check in, or they drop a bunch of pictures to make you smile. And I keep on saying that because Sky, you're freaking delightful, and it makes my day when I realize that that's what love looks like, because it's so easy to overlook. I overlook it all the time because, like I said, I'm up my own ass half the time. But when I sit down and I think about it, I'm like, I deserve none of this because I never feel like I deserve it. We all deserve love. Just know that now. Like I said, I'm a massive hypocrite. It's fine. So, having said all that, since Rack is back and it's been back, hello, hello.
Am I back, really?
You are. So get to talking about your if only before you disappear again.
I gotta tell you one thing. Waiting. I was
Please.
waiting to
I
tell you
mean,
one
the
thing.
nerve, but
Was it
fine.
just telling you one thing? I was just saying, I've been holding this for a while, and you're gonna laugh at how long I've been holding this up. But way back when you said, I read this thing, so you're right, because I read this thing that if you have dreams, and it's about my, I don't know, I have like work issues. I don't know. It's like if you have dreams, I started having work stress dreams. Like I used to have a very, like, way back, my job was really, I hated it. It was stressful. It was ridiculous. I mean, like, not, I mean, every job that I've had is stress, but this was like a different kind of stress. It was really bad. And I used to have nightmares every day. Like I go to work all day and I have nightmares all night about my work. So, and I haven't had work nightmares in years since I switched to health, to working in human services. I have not had a nightmares like this. But then I started having nightmares about my old job, the one that I used to have nightmares all about, all of a sudden out of nowhere. And I was reading, I'm like, what is happening? And I was reading that the way that you're, just like you had said, the way that your brain works is if you're stressed about something currently, and really stressed with any particular thing, and I've been under a little bit of stress lately, and your body or your mind or whatever clings to one of the most stressful things that you can think of in your past and works you through that stress rather than working you through the current stress that you're currently having, because your body isn't, your mind can't handle that right now. And there was a whole thing that I read. So you're absolutely right, because it's the same thing with stress, because that's what I got stressed. I started having nightmares. I started doing reading because that's what I do. And I'm like, what is happening? And so you're right. Because your brain does that. It took stress that a familiar stressful thing that I used to have, and it's doing it, because of current stress. Isn't that weird? But you're
I
right.
think it's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Because
also,
it's a safe place, because you've already worked through that. Your
and
brain
survived
signifies
it.
it. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
So it is.
there's a lag. My fault. Go ahead.
No, no, no. I was just saying. So it is your mind finding that safe place, but with those same emotions to help you through that. So you were absolutely right. That was it.
Yeah, well, listen, this is why you're one of my favorite people. I love to be told I'm right. I do.
Well, I mean,
I
if
mean, that's
you're
that's
right,
how
but
you butter me up, telling me I'm a genius and that I'm right. There you go. But
That's you love that almost as much as being told you're not wrong.
this is, yeah,
well,
yeah.
it's also all of these things, that the pain, the stress, the things that show up unexpectedly. these are things that we survived, that we got through. And the subtle second tier fact, other than that safe place to work through stuff, is that, well, if you got through that and had a whole life, you're going to get through this too. And it usually shows us the things that we never thought we'd get over, never thought we'd get through, never thought there would ever be an end to, never thought that we would smile after, never thought, you know what I mean? And we have. And it's usually not things from yesterday or last month. It's usually things from when we were practically a different person, like from a while back. And the takeaway from that for me is very much, I survived all this, I'll survive this too. If nothing else, it's not going to kill me. I don't know what life after this is going to look like, but I'll be here to live it. And it's not something that most people ever focus on. We're stuck in the emotion that we need to process. But at the end of that, it's very much, I survived this, I can survive that. And we are always stronger than we think, even if we break down. Because here's a big thing for me. And again, people are just like, I don't know why you think that way. But you know what? Because I do. Shut up. And so it's this. Emotions are irrational by design. Emotions are not weakness. And I want everybody to hear it, so I'm going to say it again. Emotions are not weakness. Emotions, caring about somebody, giving of yourself for others, these are strengths. These make you a better person. These make you resilient. These make you bigger than you would be if everything about you was so self-centered that you see nothing else. These are a good freaking thing. Do they get in the way? Yes. Are they a pain in the ass? 100% yes. Because if we had no emotions, everything would be black and white, left and right and wrong. Let's go. Okay. But it's not. And it makes life difficult because nothing is easy. And it makes life beautiful because emotions are the reason we can process things from before to now. Emotions are the reason we give a shit to begin with. Emotions are the reason that we can hope that generations from now we can birth better people. Unfortunately, my generation of latchkey kids birthed the millennials that have birthed the Gen Zs, and everybody is I don't know what has happened to society. It's fine. But
Latchkey kids didn't birth the millennials, though. They're like our older sisters and brothers.
okay, you're a whole lot younger than me.
No, but not young enough to be your kid. Are you Gen X?
I am Gen X all the way, and my kid, well, maybe yeah, but he's a millennial.
But then you must be an early Gen X.
I am not. I'm a mid Gen X.
Connie's the latchkey kid. Yeah, but my mom's chiming in.
What? What'd she say?
She said my brother is a latchkey kid. But the thing is that a lot of Gen X are not that much older than millennials. But I'm an early millennial, so maybe not.
Yeah, that's different. You're in that overlap hybrid area.
Okay. She's a baby boomer. she's just chiming in. So.
Tell her I love her and she's fabulous.
She said, "Yeah, you heard her. You're on speaker."
Okay.
She said, "Thank you."
You. I hope that she doesn't mind me cursing all the time because I am who I am. It is what it is.
I've had to yell at her this whole time because she keeps yelling. My kid's got a sailor's mouth between her and my other mom. I'm like, would you stop?
Okay, so I'm going to tell this story so you don't feel bad. My first grader and I said it before, my first grader came home. The teacher was having a heck of a day. There's 17 kids in the class, and we had to sign this paper. They had 1 through 17 listed. And they had to say, I need a class rule. Everybody needs to know what the rules are. And everybody's like, keep your hands, feet, and objects to yourself. Raise your hand before you talk. Raise your hand to go to the bathroom. Don't interrupt, whatever. And then you get to like number 12. And it says, do not say ass to the teacher. And I was like, oh, sweetie, let me guess which one you are. He's like, Yes, he was so excited. I was like, yeah, the only way he could learn that is if he said ass to the teacher. So yay, that's my kid. So there you go. You are
Oh,
not
well,
alone.
what he does is he rats people out, but to say it, so he'll be like, Nana Jojo said what, and then he'll do it really quiet just to do it because he's
Oh, the
ratting out his
testing of
Nana.
boundaries. I love it.
You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
he knows me, like he's looking at me like I'm telling you what she said. I'm
Like,
not saying
shh.
it.
Yes. That's that stage lasts a very long time, by the way. But oh, absolutely. These are my kids. But now, Rack, well, finally getting back to you. I love you. Your thoughts on if
Oh no, I'm
only.
not going anywhere anymore. I'm not.
Yay.
If only I wouldn't have connection problems.
There's that.
I mean, if it's not one thing, it's the other. But I should be over it for tonight. I tapped on something earlier in the evening, and that started this whole cascade of nonsense.
How
But
dare you touch your phone?
I had to reset the damn thing twice already. I'm trying to send a
But your
message, and it's
thoughts
saying
on
message
if
not sent.
only.
If only I didn't have tech problems. That was my if only.
No,
I
what are
mean,
your thoughts? I want actual thoughts, Mr. Man.
well, yeah, I mean, you know, you've seen my personality and one of my ways of dealing with the if only, because the idea of something being able to happen if only something else happened. Sometimes we can become the facilitator of what happens to make it happen. So the if only does happen. So it's kind of um a goal to me,
Well, that's
in
the
in a
what
lot of
ifs.
ways.
That's
I,
what if
I
I did this and what if I did that? Not
No,
if
no, no,
only
no,
I
no, no,
could.
not. It's not. It's not. It's like if only I had the money to get this, or if only somebody, if only somebody thought of me and bought me this, or, so it's like, what, that's something easy to make it come true.
Yeah, but like I said, if only for the most part is more indicative of the past, of if only I had, because if only I could, you can't. That's different. That is just, how you form decisions, you know? The things you want. Well, if only I could, and then you make that happen. Where if only when you're contemplating loss, when you're contemplating the past, when you're contemplating decisions that you've made or should have made or would have made or could have made, that's different.
If
Do you
only I
not sit
understood you
there
better.
and well, I spelled it out for you, but
You did, you did.
do you not ever? I mean, okay, listen. So maybe I'm an asshole, but you're the only.
Stop that.
Why? You're the only guy here. And the three of us girls all
Oh my
understand the emotionality of revisiting the past before you go to bed because it creeps up on you.
oh
Does that not happen to you?
oh my God. Well, yeah, I mean, the uh the second poem that I asked you to
I have it.
in text, yeah, that's full of all the if onlys that I think you mentioned. I think that's the possibilities and
You
the
don't
things that
live in
I
that
relive
place, do
over.
you?
I try not to because in the sense it took a long time to learn that it's not going to make it change. I mean, I try and deal with it, and uh, it's tough because you know the hardest lesson I think that I've had to deal with in life. It's not enough to be right. And that's like, if only being right was enough. That kind of thing is just, y- y- uh,
I like being
it,
right.
it's a I know, I know, but sometimes being right isn't enough, and it should be, and that's what's not fair. And well, life isn't fair, and then you go, it's this vicious cycle of it doesn't matter anymore.
Okay.
It
I,
really
I
it
will
really
give you
feels that
that.
way.
I
You
will give
mentioned
you that.
the three girls, but I don't stress about the past. Oh, I guess not anymore. But I what keeps me up all night is all the shit I got to do because I'm such a procrastinator. Like, and it doesn't. It's like it's if it's not on fire, then I can't deal with it at this moment because I have too much to deal with. So
Yeah,
it's
because
like
it needs to make itself a priority.
I do one thing and it's like, okay, my brain can't do anymore. It's like ADHD brain is you have to, it's just, it's so bad. And
I
then
know.
at like 9 o'clock at night, when like everything's calm and you have time to think about what you should be doing and you have a moment to yourself, then you start thinking, oh my God, I should have done this. I got to do this. I got to get online and I got to fill this out
But
paperwork. And it's like, oh my God, I'm too tired. But that's when your brain is like, okay, I'm okay now. I could think about all the things that I
no, you see,
it's
my
stress
brain.
about like the fact that you didn't do it. You didn't do enough.
Well,
That's what it
but
is.
my brain. My brain lives in the cascade effect of that. It's like in order to do the one thing, 15 other things have to take place and have to be put in place. Otherwise, the one thing isn't going to happen.
Listen,
So, in
listen,
order to
Rex.
accomplish this one thing,
All the, you know better than anyone. I understand that.
yes, uh
Because
huh,
I'm starting off in one room and you're like, can you please focus and go back to the dishes? It's bad. It's bad. Ass rack. It's really I have such squirrel brain. I'm like, oh, I should really do that. I should really fold laundry
what
2 minutes before I have to go to work. What are you doing right now? Like, I don't know.
That
Man.
reminds me of when I
but
had all four of my kids because you have such limited time and
yeah,
and you're a lot like me. And I think that all parents probably are all decent parents where, despite all the things that need doing, kid comes first. And so you have to do all the things that need doing around loving your kid, feeding, all the kid responsibilities and all the kid lovings. And if they're having a moment where they want to show you their you know 20 Lego giant stack of shit that you're like, oh yeah, great, whatever. And you're gonna go over there and you're gonna turn the burner down low because you don't want it to burn, and you're gonna be all excited for that for that stick tower that's gonna break in 2 seconds, and then they're gonna cry, and because they need the encouragement, and that's what love looks like, and that's where the joy is. Then you go back to doing all the things, and in those little breaks of mental flow, it's easy to forget all the things that were on the list, and so it falls off to just the big things, and then the little things, regardless of whether or not they actually are important, fill in as soon as you're calm and have a minute, which is usually after they go to bed. And then it's like, well, crap, that's just going to add to the shit I got to do tomorrow, which cracks me up because I lived like that for decades. But I absolutely get that. But before we get into poetry, it's after 11. Let's do announcements, sweet. So
All right.
whenever you're ready, what is coming up on Thursday?
Thursday is empty pages, an empty vessel, a blank page, a notebook ready to capture dreams, emotions, art, or thoughts. Words want to purge, sometimes they just can't. Whether it's a new beginning or making space enough to breathe, what does a blank page represent to you?
And next week on August 4th, I can't believe it's going to be August already. Jeez Louise. It is. You did it to your damn self. At one point or another, we've all wondered how we got in a situation. It's easy to search. It's easy to reach for others to blame. It's not our fault this happened. It can't be. But oh, sweetie, sometimes it's our own doing. Can you name the times when it was your own damn fault? That is on Tuesday.
And following that on Thursday is Everybody Talks Shit. From harmless chatter to reputation shattering rumors, we all have something to say. From expert advice to sarcastic wit, how do our words hit with our families and friends? How do your words land to others? Grab some sweet tea, let's head out to the porch, swing and chat, because everybody talks shit.
And that is what is coming up through next week. So, like, follow, share, leave your opinions and our opinions. You can listen to our podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts: Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, all the places. Just type in Pretty Sweet, PRTTY, sweet, all one word. Click on the red shoes, and you can listen to hundreds of hours of all of our things. Or you can go directly to our archives at prettysweet.podbean.com. Again, that's Pretty Sweet, PRTTY, sweet, all one word. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter. Again, just type in Pretty Sweet, click on those red shoes. They are the same everywhere, and you can find us. Drop a line, say hello, tell us we're awesome, tell us we suck. I don't give a shit. Tell us something. And you can listen to us live on Facebook, X, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern. So we're finally going to get into some poetry because, sometimes it's hard to tell that we actually read poems here because I talk out of my ass for hours on end. And I'm okay with that because I'm delightful. But we do actually have poetry. Now, I'm hoping that Bud is out there somewhere, because I'm going to start with him because he gave us a song.
Somebody's out there somewhere.
He has been serenading us left and right lately, and I am digging it. He is fabulous. He's one of the sweetest people I have ever known. So let me put this up on all the places so we can listen to the thing. And I saw your message. Sky just put it on the topic board. And we have, this is usually a 2-hour show, but there is no bottom limit. So it doesn't cut us off at 2 hours. So we tend to take the time we need to get through all the things. But, it lasts at least 2 hours. So now y'all know how that works. Okay. So whenever you're ready, this is Budo.
Maybe if I can compromise, that comes as no surprise. I take the good in the world and channel it deep inside. And maybe then would it bring you home again to me? Would it bring you back into my arms again? Maybe if I can improvise, the half of us both synchronize, would you then realize no longer need to run and hide, and have us back as one, have you side by side? Oh, the days are so long and the nights are so cold since you left me high and dry that early Christmas morn. And though as I might have tried and I've tried, but I can't get you, girl, out of my mind. No, I can't get you, girl. No, I can't get you out of my mind. No, I can't get you, girl. No, I can't get you out of my mind.
Okay, so I love being serenaded. And this is a sad Christmas song. I love a sad Christmas song. I'm not a freak of nature, it's fine. And because I like Christmas carols, but I don't like Christmas carols at Halloween. But I really love, you know, the more melancholy Christmas songs, and I can't even think of the one Christmas song of he runs into her at the store and it's snowing
The
and they
Pina
have
Colada song.
no, that's not the one, and that's not a Christmas song, and, it's a wonderful song that I can't think of the name of, it's just driving me nuts, and then you've got Last Christmas and all of these things, so when it's, "Since you left me high and dry that early Christmas morn," I love it, and, I mean, I loved it anyway, but I'm just like, "Oh, that's a sad Christmas song." So, extra points. But here's the thing, this is very much excuse me, you know, if I can do this, if I can do that, maybe we can try again. Maybe we can do all this. And it's a beautiful thought. It's a very, it's my fault, I'll fix it kind of thought. And it's never just one person's fault. And even though when people break up, even if they say, oh, it's not you, it's me, what they really mean is you, it's always you. Goodbye. And at least in my opinion. And, the days are long, the nights are cold. There's something about the holidays specifically that tend to lead to the blues, i.e., Blue Christmas, and seasonal affective disorder, and all the things. Those shorter days where everything is gray, kind of, it's a perfect backdrop for all of the doom and gloom and sadness. But this doesn't. This feels almost hopeful. Well, maybe I can, and I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this, and then you'll come back, and then everything will be all right. And I love the hopefulness in that, and that hopefulness kind of breaks my heart. That because you shouldn't have to work that hard. You know what I mean? Love of all things is easy. A relationship is difficult. It takes work. A marriage takes work. A long-term commitment takes work. It takes work from both people. One person can't work on it by itself. Another person do whatever the hell they want to. It doesn't work that way. But the love part should be fairly easy. And this is hopeful in the most heartbreaking way because I'll do it. I'll be more spontaneous. I will be less firm in my choices and compromise and I will do what you need me to do. Just please come back. And it breaks my heart because while it's very proactive and hopeful, the hope is that people will love us as we are for who we are. And so this breaks my heart. And it's a lovely song. And again, kudos to a sad Christmas because I'm a weirdo. So Sweet Pea, your thoughts?
My comment basically the first time was the train that runs through our brains carries its own passengers, and they stay until our conductor kicks them off at the station of no return. But damn, they ride in the sidecar of our lives for a long time. And that's kind of how I felt that, it just doesn't matter. They're just always there. And, if only they would ride, if only they'd be there. And I love the melody in this song as he sings it. It's just no matter what I've done, no matter what I can do, I keep trying and trying, but I just can't get you out of my head. I can't, there's just nothing about it. Why can't you just be mine? And it's just so sad, and there's so much pain in the right, and I really appreciate that about this work of yours, Budo. And the song is just simply, you know, like I said, melancholy, and I really enjoyed the melody. So, Rack and Tor, your thoughts on this?
I mean, I always enjoy a good bud. And this was definitely one of them. It, the if in a lot of ways, you, it's tough because did I just get knocked off?
No?
No,
Oh God. Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I'm hearing the air conditioner in the background, and when it got all quiet, that's usually what happens when my connection screws up. So I'm like, fearing the worst. So if only. But yeah, I'm sorry, bud. So yeah, we tend to want to take responsibility and think that if we were to do something different, if only we were able to do something, we could change the outcome of something. But there's other people. I don't know there's a term for it. It's like a fatalist or something, that they believe that no matter what, it's going to happen this way. No matter what you do, you're going to end up at the same point anyway. So it doesn't matter what you do. So it's really a rough thing to try and live with and think about, because you know I like to believe that you're a lot like I am in a lot of ways, in the sense that well, the whole reason we did it in the first place was because we felt it was the right thing to do, particularly in the moment that it happened. So it's like, so why am I thinking that I should have done something different, or I could have done something different and the outcome might have changed? It gives me a headache. I don't know about you. That's why it's nice that you put it to guitar, because that soothes the pain a little bit, and it makes it, a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine goes down. I don't know. I mean, I enjoy the piece, but it's very thought provoking and deep. So I can listen to it all night long.
and Sky, your thoughts?
It was so beautiful. I mean, like, how much better can you get? He's playing music, he's singing poetry. I always say the best songs are always written by poets. And I mean, you could tell great songwriters. You could tell that they are poets. And they're beautiful lyrics. I always think, I don't know why I always think of Meatloaf when I think of good lyricists, poets, but this was beautifully done. I really like, in particular, the stanza, with, the maybe I can improvise to have the both of us synchronize. Like, I don't know, it's just beautiful rhyme. It flows beautiful. It's elegant language, and I learned it is not easy to put poetry into song. You really have to. It's not as easy as one might think. Um, I had a friend who loved my poetry, and he was he did we would like do it together, and it's like, all right, bring your poetry over, and he would like cut half my stuff, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, you can't do that. You got to change this. You got to figure out a way to make this work. And I ended up having to rewrite and figure out how to put it, and it's not easy as people think. Just to take poetry and transition it into lyrics. And he does it beautifully, and balances that beautifully. Really well done.
It's funny. You said Meatloaf. Mine instantly went to "Baby, We Can Talk All Night" because I love that freaking song.
And
I'm
that ain't
just saying.
getting us nowhere.
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
I love
Because, that song is also very much "If Only," which I find hysterical because I was burned bad the one time, and I'm doing all the things, and I'm showing you, and you know I want you and I need you, but I'm there every day. I'm doing all the things. I'm showing you what love is. I can't say the words 'cause I'm afraid of it, you know? And that's, I wish I could. If only I could, she wouldn't be mad. She wouldn't be hurt. I can't. And so I find that hysterical that you said Meatloaf, and all of a sudden it's full circle back to me talking out my ass. So I have a poem up. I would have put you up next, Rack, because you're next on the list, but we just did a recording and your first one's a recording. So I think I figured I'd break that up with you know,
Uh,
mine because it's next on the
no
list.
explanation necessary.
Much appreciated. Okay, this is the possibilities of forever. And it's the first time, and for those who know, you know, and if you don't, you're going to find out. I'm very much, I purge when I write, or I used to wake up 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, write some shit on a page, read it the next day, and be like, oh, all right then, I guess I was going through some shit. And I haven't been able to do that since I had long COVID. It messes with your synapses. It does, near death experiences do that to you too. But physically speaking, it resets things, and it jumbles things up, and you have to find the new pathways to get to do things that used to be easy for your brain to do. It's a jumbled mess of shit. And so I rarely do that. It was like 1:30 in the morning, and I like wrote some stuff. So it's probably crap. It may not be crap. I don't care if it is. This is what you're gonna get. This is called The Possibilities of Forever by me, Pretty Bird. And it goes like this. I remember the warmth of the sun on my skin as you watched me in the water, the smell of salt air, the taste of you on my lips when I close my eyes and relax in the safety of your embrace. If only we can live on those moments too few and too far away. And can it exist outside the memory of it? Would it burn me alive to touch your skin and breathe you in just once more? A half life lived at a distance just to ignite in proximity. Time passes too slowly, yet all at once, searching dreams for truth that once thrived alive in easy smiles, just to fade in the reality of time. Living the possibilities of love in every permutation, if only. End poem.
Oh wow, this one is it's kind of, I'm trying to think of the word I want because I don't want to use prayer, but meditation, kind of, where you talk of, your desire for closeness and your memories of everything. You've got joy of the past experience, and then there's sorry, the sorrow of how it's past. But you portray time as it's kind of, I don't know, got a dual personality where it passes very slowly or very quickly, depending on where we are in our lives. I love, obviously, the way you use your words, the sun on my skin as you watch me in the water, the smell of salt air, the taste on you. Can I exist outside the memory of it? It has all the complexities of love, distance, and loss. As always, you befuddle and make me sad and leave me wanting for more love. Beautiful, beautiful, right?
Thank you.
And Rack, your thoughts.
He is not fully with us. He's in the middle of being in and out.
Okay, Scott, your thoughts.
I'm with this. I love this one. Um, it was definitely like a line. What I really loved about it is that it reads as a very intimate, personal piece. Yet, it is vague enough where anybody who reads it can start putting pieces of themselves and say, and think of that. I can see it easily. It can transform into different situations and say, okay, well, it might be this situation. It might be someone talking about it, this didn't work out for some reason. And then said person puts in that reason, and it could have been this. And while it was there, it was so wonderful and it thrived. And if only we can get it back there, or if only I could have a moment for that, if only if I can travel back to that moment, would it still affect me the way that it did? And because of that, because of the ability for it to change and yet still hold that same emotion, that same message, yet transform and fit itself into to different boxes and different situations. It's so like relatable. Which again, people when they read poetry, they connect to it. They can say, okay, this is I see for what it is, and I see the emotion that it is, and then I also connect to it through my own. And good poetry does that. I loved particularly the mechanics of it down at the end when you don't. I hate when people shy away from a rhyme because it's not a rhyming poem. um and I love how you weren't scared to do that, even though it was a free verse poem. You were not afraid to have a rhythm to it in certain words, and you could catch it throughout the piece. But especially with this, for truth that was once thrived alive, that inner line, well, that was a break in the line, so it's not true inner line rhyme at the second. But when you speak it, it flows so beautifully. When you hit that, I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. And you weren't afraid to just let the words be, even though it was a free verse. You were like, I'm still gonna let this flow. And I don't know why, it just sparked a smile. Because it was beautiful language, and it just really carried the piece for me. Um, and again, it was a piece, you always think back, well, if this could have worked out, how would that be? And then you get into that ripple effect. But sometimes, the heart wants and longs and thinks and questions and remembers and says, well, as it will. Not, in tunes with logic, but really well done. I'm sorry, I got on a rampage there.
You're fine.
I don't really know where.
You are good,
Just
my friend.
Okay, if that was a rampage.
My rampagers are a little different.
I was going to say.
okay, maybe not a rampage, like a ramble. Like I kind of went off in like 5 different directions, but it was like,
Have you
oh my
ever
goodness.
listened to the show? You're good. So I've got
Yeah.
Rack on the
Wait, wait,
board.
hold on. Can I say one more
Uh-huh.
thing? But the also the can't the part where you were saying can it exist outside of the memory of it. I really liked that, like, because the idea of that can, even if it wasn't traveling back, and it can exist in more places. And I just really, really liked that thought, and that idea and that sentiment. That's it. I'll be
No,
quiet.
you're fine, but it's that sentence in particular that I actually like. And it's because facts are facts. Our memory is different. My memory and your memory standing right next to each other are different. Everything is different, and we form it to our own constructs and our own um, emotions and all of that. And so it wouldn't exist like that anywhere else but in my memory, because even the other person's memory would be different. And so I kind of love the idea of that. I'm just saying, but
Yeah,
racket,
they say every child has a different parent, and
yeah,
every child has a different
because
view
they
of their
have a
parent
different
because they
freaking
have a different.
personality, so they have to be treated
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
But Rack is back. So did you actually hear the poem?
No.
Oh, I see how you are. Fine. But you are up next, so I'm glad that you're back. So I'm just about to play you. Are you ready? Everyone,
I hope
everyone.
so.
All right, here we go. Uh, okay, so this is funny because this is saying that there's something on pause, but there is nothing playing. So it might give us some shit. So I'm going to try. Here we go.
To Fall in Love by Raconteur. To Fall in Love by Raconteur. You ripped through my life like a clap of thunder, shook me up and left me asunder. A lit on my hand, but a moment in time, then you were gone, disappeared, not a sign. Left me lost in thought, Sweet memories of you. Nothing left to say. Nothing I could do. Never love another the way that I loved you. If only you'd decide to fall in love. I didn't find you, rather you found me, with a promise of how happy and close we could be. But now I stand lost, bereft of life, wounds still fresh from the cut of the knife. Bitter I sound, bitterness in me, crushed by the thought of how it could be. Do you know how to fall in love? Why won't you give in? It's not like it's a sin. All I want is you to fall in love. Did I really treat you that bad? Did I ever make you that sad? Why don't you want to fall in love? God, help me to survive. I've lost my will to stay alive. If only you'd give in and fall in love. Thought I had you, never did, and probably never will. Just a free spirit, now freer still. Tried to catch you, your dreams fulfill. The fool I am, I never will. You really don't want to fall in love. Yours the desire, a need to be free. You want to be apart from me. Still, I think of you and smile with glee. I remember how things used to be. Together then, but you didn't see. I really thought you'd fallen for me. I'd hoped you'd fallen in love with me. End poem.
I'm just talking to mute, and it's just crazy. My
I'll chime
bad.
in. Jump in.
And I was saying that I don't know what the hell I was saying. I'm not distracted by my dog snoring. I was saying that this is why um, I've never kissed anybody that I haven't been at some point willing to sleep with. Not that I have slept with every person I kissed. Two different things. But it's because if I don't see some kind of future, I can't be bothered wasting everybody's time because people have feelings. And if I know I'm not going to be that invested, I'm happy to be your friends. We can hang out. We can do all the things, not all the things, but I don't I need there to be a distinction between I'm gonna date you for now and I really don't care, and I'm gonna date you and hopefully keep you forever. I don't ever wanna do that to somebody on purpose. Like I thwart that as best that I can. I always have. Because once you get hurt that way, once you're on the side of that sucks, you don't want to do that to other people. And I tend to internalize everything. So I'm happy to be the jerk in a situation. Be like, I'm sorry, but no. And I'd be like, you're sweet and you're fabulous and all of these things, but I just don't see you that way, you know? And I've had people, well, you'll grow to love me. The fuck I will. Okay. I'm like, if it is not there, I will not count on it ever being there. Might it at some point? Yes. But it's not something I'm willing to let set root as a possibility when it's not a possibility for me at that time. And I love the heartache in this. I tried to make your dreams come true. I tried. If only you would just give me a chance and love me just a little bit, I will love you enough for both of us. Is what that comes to mind for me, and I love that because I do believe that every relationship isn't equal. Now, nothing has to be 50-50 all the time. Sometimes it's 90-10 this way, 90-10 that way. It ebbs and flows. It's a floating amoeba of emotional need. But if you're not willing to put in all of you, you have no business being in a relationship with somebody who's willing to put in all of them. So the people that are just like, he's good for now. It's clean sex and he buys me shit. I hate those fucking people. They're greedy little whatever because they're selfish. They're selfish with their needs. They're selfish with their entitlement, and they have no regard for anybody at all. And they just leave, oh, you're a heartbreaker. That's not a flex. You know, that's a big giant indication that you're a douche. Because if you are not in a relationship to be in that relationship with that person, you have no business being in a relationship. And it's no fault of the person who wants to love. Now, granted, sometimes, being on the unfortunate, other side of somebody who broke up with me when we weren't even dating. I mean, people have their own ideas of shit. Apparently, in France, I've seen all of these reels and memes. It cracks me up. That they don't necessarily have to ask you to be their boyfriend. If you're going to all the places, hanging out, doing all the things, you let them buy you lunch or whatever, you guys are dating. It's the unspoken fact of the matter. If you're sharing time and it's just us, you're dating. And so it's a lot of people that aren't there
Your
going, I had
toothbrush,
no idea. They're like, oh, your boyfriend. I don't have a boyfriend. Oh, you have a boyfriend.
your toothbrush is on my in my bathroom. Your shoes are in my
I mean,
closet.
it's not indicative of sex. It's not indicative of any of that. It's how you share time in public. And I find that concept interesting because if what I would call a close friend relationship where you're hanging out, you're doing lunch, rather go watch the movie with somebody that you like than nobody at all. I mean, even if you're going Dutch the whole way, it can feel to some like a relationship, but to me, that's what friendship looks like. Some of my favorite people, okay, most of my friends, not that you can tell by here because all my girlies are here, but most of my friends throughout my life, most of my close friends are guys because it's a different playing field of conversation and expectation when it comes to guys, and guys are easy. And my abrupt nature plays well with guys because I'm just like, oh, fuck you. But a lot of women need that clarified or qualified. They need a little bit more reassurance. And it's not because they are women. That's not the problem. The problem is you learn through societal expectations, through relationships, that everything's your fucking fault, and it's not, you know? And so I work off the assumption that unless I tell you it's your fault, it's not your fault, you know? But people don't work that way. People internalize things, and women internalize things differently than men do. I'm not faulting anybody for that at all, but it's very much why I'm so off-putting to a lot of women, because I come off as assertive. Sometimes they call me aggressive. You're so intimidated. Well, then don't fucking talk to me, you know? I'm like, I'm not here to make you miserable. I don't have to talk to you. Go away. And I sound very much like a giant hole, and I don't care. The truth is, I'm not going to sit there and baby people. And so I work well with men. And the problem is that when I feel them, oh, dinner is my treat. No, no, it's not. I was like, if we're going to go, you buy one, I buy one, that's fine. But we're going to have that conversation as soon as somebody wants to buy me stuff about it not being this and it not being that. And it's different than appreciation, and it's different than years long friendship, because usually it starts off early. Let me take you out to dinner. It's not a date. The answer is no, thank you. It's like, can we go Dutch? No, no, I can't let you pay. Then we're not going anywhere, because it's a hard thing to play that line, because the last thing I ever want to do is take somebody that I actually enjoy spending time with as a friend and make them feel like this poem, and make them feel unworthy, less than, invisible, unimportant, you know? Like, what did I do to make you think of me like I'm nothing, to treat me like I'm nothing? And I could not in good conscience do that on purpose to anybody. So these people that live that leave partners in their wake like this piss me the fuck off, because who the hell are they? And in case anybody's wondering, they're the asshole, not the one who is open to caring. With the caveat that if it's going to turn to stalking and some weird needy shit, then that's on you. I'm just saying. But so, Sweet Pea, your thoughts?
Oh, God. You and your heartbreak. There's, I mean, you have so many vivid words in here, so many vivid, you know, raw feelings with your phrases. Ripped through my life, bereavement of life, wounds still fresh from the cut of the knife. I mean, your imagery is so intense, and it just blares like bleeds emotion on the page. Um, and just repeating and questioning the themes of love, like to fall in love. You know, I just, God, just some of your lines, and I love the way you have the mix of the four line stanza, and it's just kind of like breeze, like emotions. Um, you just bring everything, and it comes alive, and it's I like poems that do that. They just come alive. And again, the just the absolute genius of some of these metaphors rip through my life like a clap of thunder. It's just you just feel it, you know, the confusion, the desire, the wanting, the anger, the resentment, everything that, why isn't there love here for me? And why aren't you here for me? Why wouldn't you give in? All you want, you know, but you didn't see me. I really thought you'd fallen for me. I hope you've fallen in love with me. And it's just a brilliant write. And it's just filled to the top with emotions through metaphor and language and just great words. It's a beautiful write, Rick.
Dankeschön.
All right. Oh,
Sky's here.
Sky's back. Bye, did you
Well, I have two part. One to Pretty Bird. I am one of those people that need constant reassurance because I always think I did something. so, and I'm a fixer, so it's doubly bad. And I've got my best friend for almost 30 years. And I'm telling you, you guys are a lot alike. And she is the only person I don't have to worry about that because she's so honest. I know that she would tell me. So so I appreciate that honesty so much because I know she's not a bullshitter. So I know that you said so sometimes knowing that someone is not a bullshitter makes people like me feel very secure because I know that she would tell me. Anyway.
Oh, and I'm one of those people that would tell you, but that's why,
So
all my
but
girlies are here, you know?
but some like that is like good security. Raconteur, your poem is terrible. You always do this to me because
Because it's the Hurt Locker.
it's horrible. I've got like a love-hate relationship with this. The part that really just, I mean, people said all the things, and and they're all so true. And the part that really gets me is the part where you turn inward. Did I really treat you that bad? Did I do these things? Because when people can't make something that they want to work, you always then, turn and say, okay, well, what's wrong with me? What did I do? What can I do? And it's a terrible place to be because most of the time it has nothing to do with you. It's the other person, and you're going back and forth in this poem by saying you're not ready to fall in love. You're not ready, but then flipping backwards on yourself. And I think that's true to a person's processing because you're going back, okay, well, they're not, nope, it's me, nope, it's them, it's nope, it's they. And no matter how confident you get to the point where you're like, no, it really wasn't me, it was really them, there's always this little voice inside you, at least for me, that says, "Mm, maybe it was,"
Yeah.
and it is awful. It is awful to feel like you're not enough for somebody when you want so badly to be. Um, and this poem really speaks of that. Excellent piece.
Thank you.
And Sweet Pea, you are on the board.
I am on the board. Okay. So this is if only. If only the devil hadn't chosen me before the age of 3. I wonder if I would have grown up to be a different person, a woman who understood love and lived carefree. If only a monster hadn't whispered how much he wanted me. If I could embrace trust blindly and never question someone's morality. Maybe I could smile at the sunset every night instead of fighting my internal fright. If only someone just once believed I was worthy of their time, that I wouldn't hide in the shadows forgetting to come alive, shaking like the lion waiting for my courage to survive. If only every truth didn't turn out to be a lie, I would no longer have to cry. I want to believe in fairy tales, that they are promises met with my demise. My princess dress still hangs in the closet, waiting for a white horse and a ride. If only I didn't love you, I might still be whole, but I broke into pieces, cracked open by your hands. I'm lying here bleeding in your arms, waiting for your decision. If only I wouldn't care. End poem.
All of these moments, um, the past moments that we can't change, the unfortunate histories that shape us in ways we never wanted to be molded. All we can do is survive them and have them make us stronger. But when you get down to if only every truth didn't turn out to be a lie, I hate that's familiar. I hate that you know that is a universal truth, at least on some level. To we all know people that we care about that are just they tell you with all their honesty in that moment what they think you want to hear, and then they do what they want anyway, or they give you all of these promises and then break every single one over time, and then have the nerve to be like, well, don't make me promises you can't keep. You broke it every single one. And then they get all butthurt and sad and heartbroken that you think that of them. Well, that it's true. I didn't make it up. This isn't what I wanted. This is who you've shown me you are. Why are you mad at me for it? That's your truth, not mine. You know, if only I didn't love you, I might still be whole. And here's the thing, people who like control, people who need who need to be right all the time. I don't need to be right. I like to be right, just to be clear. And they need to make you small so that they feel big. And the problem is, the stronger we get internally, the more fortified we get emotionally, the more mentally aware we are that we've been manipulated for so long, and we're happy to be in that place because we trusted the words, we felt loved. It was what joy looked like when we thought it was true. The second that stopped being true, it's full on, just you know, hell is what it is. But the second that it's not easy to be manipulated, they try harder and harder and harder. And they will instead of prodding you with push pins, they're gonna start stabbing you with a knife, or they're gonna take that scalpel and fully eviscerate you, and then blame you for bleeding on the rug, and tell you to clean it up your damn self, because it's not their fucking problem you're weak. And the thing is, that says nothing about who the victim is, and everything about who that gaping anus is. everything about anybody that is so inherently selfish that they blame everybody else for their shortcomings, and they have to make people small to feel big. They are the smallest of them all. It's like they are, you know, all the testicles and anabolic steroids that shrivel up to the size of fucking peas. Because how cowardly does
Please.
someone have to be to put anybody that they pretend to care about in a position of fear and weakness? That's not what love looks like. That that's just not what love looks like. And surviving it changes you. Surviving any of it reshapes who you thought you were, who you thought they were, how you deal with other people. And on the other side of all that, it changes how we trust people once we learn how to trust ourselves. And so I'm going to say this with all honesty. It is not anybody's fault when they trust somebody. I don't care if you're naive. I don't care if you're stupid. There's hope in trust. There is love and trust that when you want to see the best in somebody that is still more good than bad, it's not your fault to trust somebody. It is absolutely their fault for using it against you. It is their shortcomings, their fear, their inadequacies, their stupidity, their suckage to take advantage of anybody nice, to take advantage of anybody's kindness, to take advantage of the emotions that at the end of the day they crave the most. They want to be loved, they need to be revered, yet they push people into the ground to make them small so that they're looking up, because that's as close as they're going to get once, the shit hits the fucking fan. And I don't want the lament in this. If only I didn't love you, I might still be whole. So here's the thing. For all the years that love is good, for everything that was true in the moment, despite what facts after the fact changed the foundation of, though the reality is that in the present tense of those moments, there was joy, there was happiness, there was love, and there was warmth. And in those moments, it was all true. It was all true. Nobody loves the same. And I have advocated for people to have these conversations my whole adult life because they're difficult. Nobody has these conversations. It is a rare thing to talk about what love is for you, how you define love, how your fears, your traumas, your pains meld into what you need from a loving relationship. They're uncomfortable. Nobody has these conversations, but they need to be had. It doesn't take the truth out of the past. It changes what the past looks like now. And that's a distinction that is hard to assimilate because we, I especially, okay, here's a little what if. Before me and my husband got married, we broke up. We broke up after 3 years and 17 days. And he was free to do whatever. I was free to do whatever it was, it was. Once months later, he came, he asked me to marry me, but whatever it was. Before we got married, I was like, I need to know everything you did. I was like, I will disclose mine if you disclose yours. And he said all these things. And I was like, if I find out 5 years from now that there is more to this than that, everything between now and then is a lie because it's based on a lie. And that is a very clear-cut way to view things. Everything after a lie is a lie. Everything based on a lie is a lie. The problem is the moments you live in the truth of the present tense don't change. So by our own parameters of our own bullshit, we sit there and go, well, that makes that love a lie and that moment a lie and everything I felt is a lie and all this stuff is a lie. Those are all true. They were all true in those moments. They're absolutely true. The problem is that now he's a liar. And if you believe all the things that were true, when there's lies underneath, it's unsafe. And therefore, you cannot trust what you thought was true because now it's unsafe. And it was always unsafe. You just didn't know. You didn't know the ice was thin. You just thought it was a thick layer of ice. But now that there's a sign that says thin ice, you're afraid to walk on it. And it's understandable. I think that way. It's easier. It's, fuck me, fuck you. It's a lot more difficult to try to extricate the truth of what love felt like and how much pain you're in for the lies, for what is continued to cause continuing to cause pain because they're so enmeshed that you can't separate them. And it's a very difficult process. But we can't hate ourselves for loving the people that we love because no part of love is hate. So why do we do that to ourselves when we don't do it to the people that deserve it? We're really shit to ourselves. We need to do better. Oh, so Raconteur, your thoughts.
You don't want to ask a blind guy what love looks like, but as far as the emotions within this poem, the thing to me that screams at me really is the misrepresentation of how he presents himself. The person that you're describing, he came at you one way, and then like I said, it turned out to be a lie. So so you didn't really fall in love with him. You fell in love with an image of him that wasn't accurate. And it's not your fault because this is what you wanted. This is what you thought you were getting into. This is what you signed up for, and it's not what you got. So I mean, no one could fault you really for wanting to turn around and be like, you lied to me, you fooled me. You got everybody fooled. So it's painful to listen to because the aftermath of that can't really be undone because you can't help it. You fell in love, and the realization of the lie that it was, um, because that's really what it is. The misrepresentation, a lie. That's what gives you the carte blanche to say, what, I need to fix this. I need to take to protect myself. But anyway, that's just the way I look at things. So
And Sky, your thoughts.
That the idea of this poem and the execution of it with a series of moments and a series of disappointments and a series of not even disappointments but betrayal, abuse. When you opened up with those two lines, I was like, oh god. Those two first lines, when you think of that, when you think of being when you think of how many people, how many lives have to be destroyed through abuse at such an early age, and you think, and you open that up and you say right out of the gate, people had let me down right out of the gate. This you know this is the trust was just annihilated, and then you go uh, through what I'm in my understanding, a series of different events in different situations in different people, and how everything just kinds of cementing and cementing of only this, all these different things, and as horrible and as awful as those different things and unforgivable those different things are. And as Pretty Bird said, life changing. And I love the way you said it with the people, how you treat people, how how you react to the world, and as awful as those things are, it is, you change one of those things and it could mold you completely different. um and if anything, pain, it does make you a little untrusting. It does make you cautious. It does make you compassionate. It does make you understanding. and um and to somebody, definitely a person who might read this poem, a person who might talk to you, they might feel not so alone. So really well done.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And Sky, you are on the board.
All right. So I did have one called If Only. Um, this was definitely a time where I thought, it was, I had to take time and realize that it was probably for the better. But this is called If Only, not probably for the better, definitely for the better, but if only I were not a jewel hidden in chest. She said it was a pearl, but kept me locked away. Shame gathered on the edge of her bedside table, the scuffed mahogany she turned to each night, and she pulled the beaded metal chain of lamplight. It felt as if she only came to life in that darkness, smiling within the curve of cradling palm and the dimpled lumber spine, and lips sipped sweat from back like vintage bowls of wine. But when first light danced on curtains, folds, she'd place herself back within a trinket box, among letters licked with promise, the dried primrose and sterling necklace. And I, the pearl placed against her breast, in brief calms of damselflies and sunrise, wept as the music box closed within her chest, hidden in the corners that gathered regret and poem.
You know, it is hard to care for somebody who doesn't admit they're ashamed to be seen with you. And I get that maybe that is a little stark because this feels private and kind of distant in daylight. And it's familiar in unfortunate ways because I was never okay in my house. I was the pretty one, but in amongst all my friends, I never felt like that. I was different. I grew up in anyway. So I would not have called myself a standard beauty. Back in the day when everything was heroin chic and just sad, and it made people different to me sometimes in public. And it goes back to kind of high school where they're great when they're not with their friends, but then they treat you like they don't know you or would never be seen with you in front of their friends. Now, I get that's not what this is, and that's not really what I'm talking about, but it's a fair analogy for how that feels. Because while this is intimate, and I love the dimpled lumbar spine, it's very visual and very affectionate, which kind of makes that she's going to hide me away more heartbreaking. It's hard to name when it's not open air, when it's not in public, when it's not, you never bring me around your friends and things like that, when it's something that you see and something that you feel and something that can be softly denied despite the truth. It makes you feel like you're crazy. It's full on gaslighting and positioned in a way where if you call it out, that's what it reads to me. I'm sure I'm reading all kinds of shit into it. If you call it out,
It's
then you're hurting their feelings, and then you feel bad for feeling bad, and maybe I'm wrong and all this stuff. But these feelings don't come out of nowhere. They don't come out of it. They don't. They're not born in thin air. They're born for a reason. Even if we struggle for the words that make sense, and some things are only ever learned the hard way. And trusting your gut when your heart's involved is something you learn the hard way. And it's not easy to do what's best for you when you love somebody. And what's best for you does not include them. It's not easy to hurt somebody openly when they don't um, take accountability for hurting you privately. Because some people really just aren't aware or don't understand, or this is just, but I love you, but that I love you is a complete fucking sentence. Shut the fuck up with your clarifiers and disclaimers and bullshit. You can't love somebody quietly and think that it's okay when you can't love them out loud. It's different. It's not that the feelings don't exist. It's that it comes in a shadow of darkness. It comes with shame, and shame is not subtle, and sex is emotional, and it starts to leach into desire because listen, I don't know if y'all have had a bunch of orgasms, but you got to let go of everything. And so if you've got a knot of shadow and doubt, it is much harder to release all the things. I am just saying. And when it starts acting or starts feeling like a duty, like, well, this is what I can get, this is what they have to offer, and it's less than what you need, not for nothing. It makes me in particular, and I'm not saying anything about you or the feelings that this birth makes me kind of feel like a whore. Like instead of money, I'm working for little droplets of emotion, and it feels like shit. And it's hard to walk away from a love that you feel deeply just so that you don't feel like shit. And not for nothing, no part of love is hate, and love should not make you feel like shit. And I love that through all of this, you're still a pearl. You're still, and I say you, but whatever the character is, you're still, still a jewel, still something to be treasured, just not out in the open. You know, it's like the china you don't even bring out for Thanksgiving. It's like your mom's, heirloom necklace that, you're afraid you're going to lose or break, or somebody's going to steal it, or whatever it is that you don't ever wear. And then nobody ever sees it. But it's more like, they're not wearing it because nobody needs to know it exists in the first place. And that feels like crap. And this is so gently worded and so beautifully put. And it starts with, she said I was a pearl. So I'm something to be treasured, yet something to be hidden. And those two things cannot coexist. You can't reconcile that. You know, if I treasure it, I, you know, I have things, notes from people back in high school, that do I keep them hidden away? I keep them so that I can pull them out and unfold those soft folds because they're so old, and read them. And I know that they're there, and I think about them, and I love them. And those aren't things that need to be out in the open. Look, everybody, I keep some strange shit because they're mementos of a past. When it's something to be treasured and in the present tense, you can't, you have to at least have it, you know, encased in glass where everybody can see it, you know, just to keep it safe. You can't just put it in the dark, take it out and look at it and put it back in the dark. This breaks my freaking heart. I'm just saying. So, sweet pea,
Lived with this person pretty much.
you,
I
you
lived
what?
with them
Yeah, that
for
shit.
a few years. Like it wasn't just like passing dating, lived. And yeah.
I wonder if they hated themselves just a little bit, you know, because
There
when
was
you
always
can't
a back and forth. It was like, and I realize everybody has to,
come to terms with themselves,
yes, and with other people on their own terms. But after a while, it's like, okay, it's been like
yeah,
a couple years here. What are we doing?
their shame is not your
And
responsibility.
what, like what's happening? Like is, like I don't, and it's hard in society. It's changing, but it's still, when people that you're with, they can't even like I don't want to go into details, but it does feel like a lot. It feels like shame that's not mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So yeah, thank you.
you're very welcome. And Sweet Pea, your thoughts?
It's very, very hard to be hidden away because it's almost like there's someone telling you you're the most beautiful person, but it doesn't show you anything but, or they treat you like you're just a trinket in a box because you were so beautiful and you had all of this. Why would they isolate you? Why would they put you away? Why would they keep the pearl in the dark? I don't quite understand, that thought process. Um, you make this, again, like Rack, you have the vivid imagery in here, and you make us feel this. You really do. Scuffed mahogany, vintage bowls of wine, and dried primrose. Those are all like touching sensory. I can smell the primrose and I can see the mahogany, and it's just the pearl is your worth and beauty, but the trinket box constrains you. It's imposed by the relationship. Like you're this beautiful thing, but you're not allowed to go out there and grow. You're not allowed, and it's just such a weight on your chest. Like if I do this or do that, is it going to be, something that's going to hurt her feelings or hurt what they do? Am I going to overshadow them? Am I going to do something that might make them feel less than? You're allowed to be visible when I'm around, but make sure you're invisible enough that no one sees you. Yet they give you all that love, so you're cherished yet hidden. And I really understand how that feels. It's a hell of a right. So Rack, your thoughts?
The thing that strikes me about this is the opening with the pearl. I have a problem with language sometimes and labels because one person's idea of one thing is not necessarily the other person's interpretation of it. So again, it's almost like a bill of goods, but it's a beautiful expression, it's a beautiful thought, but it's in practice and execution, it's almost like you say, you're being hidden away, so it's not fair to you in so many ways. It's not honest to the feelings because you don't necessarily hide them away. I mean, there's a difference between, well, I don't believe in PDAs and not acknowledging that you're together in you know, in the first place. So the degree of it, it cuts deeply in the sense of how you're treated overall because like you say, you're being treated like a possession and you're being hidden away from everything and but under the guise of being treasured, but more being controlled. So I mean, it's frustrating to deal with it and even listen to in the sense of the emotional turmoil that it must put you through because there's an inconsistency there and the emotional roller coaster that the doubt where are we headed is over, must be overwhelming. I know in situations like that where I'm being told one thing but it doesn't feel like that's what's happening is just you know confusing as hell and all that doubt leaches into how you act and how you feel. uh, this is painful. This is painful.
Yeah. I think when people have different views, like my godchildren at a very young age, they're my best friend. She's like, she'd always said, "Oh, if you get a boyfriend, if you get a girlfriend, there was never any. There was she always said both, whoever, and so my godchildren from a very young age, knew that I dated women. There wasn't anything
Right.
shocking to them about that because that is just how they grew up. It was like, oh yeah, she dates woman. That's it. That's the whole thing. And, when I started dating this person, it was like, some people were okay in the no, and then some people weren't. But the thing is that they also had younger children, and it was like I couldn't even hug my significant other in our own home because they didn't think it was okay for to explain to the children,
Mhm.
no, we share a room, that we're dating. So I'm like, so then, one of the youngest, they at, because we were a couple years in, they were like, can I call you mom? And I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, you're going to have to explain to them. They're going to go to school. Someone in school is going to tell them. You need to speak to them, and it's not, it's like, it's put me in, because they're not my kids, but I live with them. I cook them dinner, I make them breakfast, you know what I mean, like for not a short period of time, for a couple of years, and it's kind of like they know you have to have a conversation with them because they're going to go to school and someone's going to have a bad conversation with them. And I'm like, if you think they don't know already, then you're wrong. And it was like, and then one time, I think it was like towards the end, like I had kissed her, and my nephews were there, and she's like, oh, and I'm like, they know who I am. I don't need to, you know what I mean? And so anyway, I'm getting all upset. We'll change the subject. Anyway.
It's funny because we do so much for the people we love, and sometimes they completely overlook or disregard. I like to think they overlook, because the disregard comes with the knowledge and a choice, our feelings on whatever it is, and how what they do and what they say affects us, affects those who love them, affects the people that treat them better than they know how to treat us. And it's a sad situation, because whatever it is going on in their kind of twisted sense of self, we can't fix that for them. We can do our best to love them through it, but if they don't want to get through it and they don't think there's anything wrong, then we have choices to make about what we're going to allow them to put us through and make us feel, usually about ourselves. And it's not an easy decision, because love weighs more. We can take a lot of freaking pain, if the love is real. And it takes a strength and will to um, acknowledge the scales tipping in the other direction enough to kind of unfold yourself from a love that you lean on. And we all do it. We all lean on the people that we love, because that's part of loving somebody, but when they lean on us to the point that they push us into the ground and stomp us into the dirt, and we can't lean back because we can't even sit up at that point, it's not okay. So it is already 12:30, so I think we're only going to go through our first poems tonight, because otherwise we're going to be here for a whole other hour. And I have had, like, just the best time with these conversations. Like, this has been like good conversation, and I really enjoy good conversation. And I don't know how great it would be if y'all weren't here. So I just want to let you know that it's been
Oh,
fabulous. So well, I was already going to cut to the end. We still have to say what's coming up on Thursday and all the shit. Look at me, almost forgetting to do a whole thing. So, Sweet Pea, what is coming up on Thursday?
What is coming up on Thursday is a blank page, empty pages. an empty vessel, a blank page, a notebook ready to capture dreams, emotions, art, or thoughts. Words want to purge, sometimes they just can't. Whether it's a new beginning or making space enough to breathe, what does a blank page represent to you?
Oh, I'm gonna love that show because, as writers, we all tend to know that feeling of not being able to fill the page with the emotions that won't come, or looking at it and wishing there was something better to put there, and all of the things. So I'm really looking forward to that. So next week, it's You Did It to Your Damn Self on Tuesday, and Everybody Talks Shit on Thursday. So you can listen to us live on Facebook, X, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern. Outside of that, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, all the places. And for both, you just type in Pretty Sweet, P-R-T-T-Y Sweet, all one word. Click on the red shoes and you will find us. So you want to like all our pages so that you don't ever miss a live. And if you want our full archives, go to prettysweet.podbean.com and you will find all of our live shows, all of our past lives, all of our, oh, it sounds like we're ghosts, woohoo, and all of our side piece shows, which are pre-recorded. So, very easy to go through, look for all the things on all the subjects using all the grown-up words. Just continue to be warned. So we have had, well, yeah, I guess I have to still go like, I'm just determined to get out of here. I don't mean to be. I'm in zero rush. But like, follow, share, leave your opinions on our opinions, click all the hearts, show us some love. Absolutely comment, whether you're listening live, whether you're listening after the fact, whether it's on one of the ones that we've already published, or a reel that you see. Just, give it a thumbs up. Keep Tell us what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. Give us some feedback so that we can give you the content that you actually want to hear. Because I'll talk shit about anything and then you guys are just stuck listening to it. So that's on you. So now we've had a wonderful time. And we hope that you did too. However, if you did not, say it loud and proud, everybody. You
You
can
can.
fuck
Fuck
all the
Fuck
way
all
all
off.
the
the way
way
off.
off.
There you go. Have a wonderful night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.